Okay, so Google knows things about you that maybe not everyone knows. You know, another thing that's useful with search engines is because they take a copy of everything on the web. If something is gone or missing, maybe they still have that copy in the cache. So sometimes you can actually search for something that's gone, which is a good reminder as well that just because you delete it doesn't mean it's gone. You know. Although I was listening to on one of the podcasts actually, one of the ones I was getting you to subscribe to, I think, there was somebody talking about how some pictures they had taken a while back just don't even show up anymore. You know, pictures they didn't like, that they thought, oh my God, you know, and they're on the web and they're going to be there forever and ever and ever. That over time they just kind of faded away. You know, so maybe it's not as bad as we think, but certainly once the search engine indexes your page or your comment or whatever, they have it then, and even if you take it down, it's still there. One of the things Google Plus boasts is that if you delete something in Google Plus, it's gone, unlike Facebook. But, you know, that doesn't mean Google has forgotten about it. It just means maybe it's gone for everyone else. Search engines can also filter stuff. So even if the search terms are a good match and the page is a good ranking, it might decide that you know, some things aren't suitable for children, and you might, for example, have set the preferences to clean or something. It may also give you pages in your own language rather than, you know, whatever the default one might have been for the country you're in. Polish students often find their searches come back with Polish results and English results. No. The advertising then is the main thing. Okay, so we saw when we went to search for pizza that there was an ad there for Domino's. So if I click on Domino's, there now, that's probably just cost Domino's maybe 20 cents. Which is kind of mean because I have no interest in buying a pizza just right now. Okay, but it is ridiculously delicious. So you might find sometimes the ads are over here as well, but in this case, no. So if I was selling hard disks for MacBook Pros, right? And I had a couple of grand to spend on advertising, I could put ads on the sides of buses, you know, all the buses in Cork. Could say, you know, get your hard disks for your MacBook Pros at, you know, collinshardisks.com or something. And like, lots of people would see it. You know, they definitely see it. I mean, people do see the ads on the sides of buses. But the percentage of people in Cork that may want to buy a hard disk for their MacBook Pro or MacBook even at any given time is quite small. I would certainly reach them, I would think. You know, that certainly, you know, the one or two people that might want to buy a hard disk today would go, oh yeah, there's that guy who has his ads on the buses. I'm so glad he did that. Now I know how to get them there. Okay. But what's much more useful to me, possibly, is if I was to say to Google, look, when anybody searches for hard disks for MacBooks, could you show them my ad? Because anybody who's doing that kind of search might be more likely to actually buy from me. So it might be a better use for my money. So if I say, you know, so macupgrades.co.uk has paid Google to put this ad here. And then all the way over here, look, these are all ads. So people have paid for all of these here. This is very interesting now because, and I hadn't thought of this, but this is very clever. So These people want to sell me hard drives. This person wants to sell me hard drives. This person wants to sell me hard drives. Okay? And because I'm searching for hard disk for MacBook, there's a good chance I'm in the market. So it's a way to target people who are actually interested at that particular point in time. Whereas everyone's standing outside there at the bus stop, they're not all interested in buying a hard disk. What's very clever is this company here will destroy your old hard disks for you securely. So they have a service, and they've figured out that the kinds of people who are buying new hard disks may need to have their old ones destroyed. So they put an ad here, which I think is very, very clever. I might never thought to have looked for a company that would destroy my old one securely. So they've said to Google, when someone is searching for replacement hard disk, show them my ad. And then if I click on that, they might know. We'll look at the advertising model in more detail, but this person here has probably offered Google more than this person. And this person here has probably offered more than this person. So again, I click on this, it might cost this person 20 cents or something. I feel bad, but not bad enough to not do it. Okay? So that's quite clever. I would never think to have shredded my hard disk. No, I just have to click. I just can't resist. Oh. Ouch. Okay. So that's quite clever of them. No. So that's the main way Google makes its money. That's why Google can buy its headquarters in Dublin instead of just renting, because although it takes, it would take that 20 cents there, those 20 cents all add up to billions across all the Google sites. No. Very quickly, I want to look at some of the advanced ways you can use search engines. So you can obviously just put in the search terms and it comes back with pages that have all those. But there are more sophisticated things you can do also. So if we look at this search here where I say site :IE, Cork colleges, and then minus sports. What I'm saying there is that I'm only interested, but I want sites that end in .ie, that the URLs end in .ie. So ucc.ie, cit.ie, but ucc, .com wouldn't come up there. Both of these words must appear if possible. Now, if you search for 5 terms, it'll find the pages with all 5 words. If there aren't that many of those, then it'll show you ones with any 4 of them, and then down to any 3 of them, depending on what is you're looking for. What's really useful, though, is this minus sports. It's saying, if the word sports is on the page, I don't want that. And very often, you can get much better results from your search by saying the things you don't want. So, if I wanted, supposing I wanted a pizza recipe without cheese. Why? I could say pizza recipe minus cheese. And then if the word cheese appeared in the recipe, if the word cheese appeared on the page, it wouldn't show up. Now, that might not be exactly what I want, because I imagine if I had a great recipe for pizza without cheese, I would call it the great recipe for pizza without cheese, and then put the word cheese on the page. But, if the word cheese is not on the page, it wouldn't show up. So that can be useful, okay? So generally, when you just type in words, Google will find all of those words. Now, I keep saying Google, but most search engines work in a similar way, although they do have different syntax. And so we're looking at the Google syntax here. You can also put in a phrase. This is much loved feature of lecturers everywhere. You can put in a whole phrase from an essay, and Google will tell you where the person lifted it from, rather than just a page with all those words. You can do R's as well as ands. Okay, so you could say Cork or Dublin or Belfast. So if we look here, when you say Cork, Dublin, Belfast, you're saying I want pages with. So if I said pizza, Cork, Dublin, Belfast, it would try and find me pages that have the word pizza and the word Cork and the word Dublin and the word Belfast. So if you just put in a bunch of words, you're ending them, but you can or them. So you can mix your ands and your ors. So if we said degree in computing and then open bracket, Cork, Dublin and Belfast, supposing you were looking for a degree in computing and you didn't like small towns, you might go degree in computing, open bracket, Cork, bar Dublin, bar Belfast, and then the search engine would see that as I want pages that have the word degree and in and computing and Cork or Dublin or Belfast. So it can really help if you're looking for something very, very specific, to know how to use all these things. My favorite though is the minus. Just gets rid of the stuff you don't want. So for example, there's a Center for Innovative Technology in Virginia. If you found, for example, that every time you did a search for something at CIT, you were getting this other CIT, you might decide to put in minus Virginia, and then any page that had the word Virginia in it would not be included. Now, as we saw, if Google can figure out where my nearest pizza place is, if I say CIT and I'm in CIT, it's a pretty sure bet that I'm actually talking about this CIT. Do you know what I mean? But as an example, you can exclude particular things. I think of a good one there now. Sometimes as well, if a word has two meanings, you can preclude one of the one you don't want by just thinking of something that goes with it. This plus says that you really must have that word in it. So if you do, bicycle, brakes, Shimano, it'll find the pages that have all those three. Then if it runs out, it'll show you ones with just bicycles and Shimano or brakes and Shimano. If you say it must have Shimano in it, then it'll only show you pages that have that word. So that can be useful as well. So the plus and the minus can be very useful. There are also special things you can look for. So you could have in title, colon, and that requires, or that asks that the word you're talking about, the search term you're looking for, is inside in the title of the document. Now that's quite specific. Which brings me to an interesting point which I will hammer home again and again and again. If you didn't write your web page properly, you didn't actually have a title, well then this obviously wouldn't work for someone who's looking for something with stuff in the title, because you've got none. You can also specify there in URL, you can have the term appear in the URL for the document as opposed to on the page. So that can be useful as well. Here I'm saying I want the term John Smith that appears on CIT.ie. So if you want the opening times of the gym in CIT, if you're specific enough, you can get those right away. If not, you'll have to wade through gyms in Bishopstown and gyms in Cork, and stuff. Okay? Do you think this would work for my CIT? Do you think my CIT would be selected by CIT.ie? You have to guess? I don't know. My guess is that it would take CIT.ie and my CIT.ie It would consider, because the ending is the same. I think it would go for that. You can say if you specify site, you must also have other terms. If you just do site, i.e., well, that's just give me all the websites in Ireland. Like that's, not only is that stupid, Google won't do it. Because I'm just going to have a quick browse through all the websites in Ireland there. Yeah, no. Okay, so you need other terms. You can also use related, which is quite clever. So Google will search for things related to CIT. So if you were to do a search for gym and then related CIT.ie, you might get information about the UCC gym. It might decide that UCC is related to CIT in some way. You can also find pages that contain a link to a specific page. So if you have a website, you can see who's linking to you, which could be fun and interesting. A bit vain, but can be useful. You can have wildcards. So you can have an asterisk, a star, and then you can search for terms that way. That can be useful. So it's quite powerful what you can do. I mean, the muggles just go to Google and type in their 5 words, but someone like you should be able to be very specific, know the syntax off the top of your head and find the exact things you're looking for. You're busy people. No time to be trawling through pages. Okay. So we'll leave it there, Sona. See you in a little while. Thanks for your attention.